Hello, ladies and gentlemen. You're welcome to another conversation, Racism Talk. And this time we are having the topic on discrimination and its effect on people with HIV positive, and we are having a very dynamic woman who is with us on board today, Lillian Petry, who is working with the African House of Africa in Zabrücken, and she will be giving us insight information about discrimination, people who have faced discrimination because they were tested HIV positive. And that is a conversation today, ladies and gentlemen. You do not want to miss this conversation. I plead with you to share the link with friends, invite your friends. My name is Vera Sompon, and I am your host today. Stay tuned for the conversation. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining into our conversation today. I invite you to share the link, invite a friend, invite a sister, invite a brother, and please, please, please tag someone. This information could just be a 7-star information for someone. I invite you to join the studio with me, Lillian Petry. Thank you for accepting my invitation. Please, ma'am, tell us a little bit more about your person, who are you, who you are, what you do at the moment, and hey, please tell us more. Do people that have the virus HIV really been discriminated upon? If yes, how? You're welcome, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Vera, for the invitation. I'm blessed to be here today. I thank you for honoring my work. My name is Lillian Kababiito. I'm born in Fort Portal, a very small, beautiful village in Uganda. We are one of those people who still have a king, so we are from the kingdom of the Batoro. I live here in Germany since 2000. I'm an active HIV positive woman. I'm a mother, I'm a daughter, I'm a wife, and I live here helping other people with different kinds of problems. Life is made up of human beings, but there are sometimes when people have problems and we decide to discriminate them. That's why today we chose to talk about discrimination. What is discrimination and how does it affect other people? When we choose to let people out of our lives because of some things they cannot change, for example, their color or a sickness they cannot treat, and we decide to treat them different, we make them sick. That's why we're here today to share with you, to answer your questions, and we hope that our talk will bring you to a different way to see life differently and put on another glass on your eyes when you see people sick, having HIV. Maybe I will help you to wear a different glass to look at them. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Lillian. I like the conversation you said today. Maybe you're going to give us a different glasses so that we can be able to see people differently. What are the different kinds of glasses you think we can have on so that we can see people differently?
The best glass to see people is the glass you use to see yourself. There is a glass which we use when we look at ourselves. If we can wear it when we are looking at others. There is a glass of judgment which we use because of the things we know. We use it to judge. That is the biggest glass of community, family. They use glasses to magnify what they have heard about each other or to make decisions. They don't use that fair glass. And these glasses are changed according to the information we have. That's what I believe. So when you have the information and you treat people differently, that means you chose to really treat them different. But when you don't have the glass, you might discriminate somebody just because you have a wrong glass. And that's why we're here, to make sure you decide to discriminate people. You don't discriminate them because you don't know. You choose, you take a decision and say, I will discriminate an HIV positive person or a black person or another religion or a person who is disabled. I will discriminate them, not because you don't know, but because you choose.
So you're saying that discrimination is a conscious decision that people make.
When they know that they're doing it, it's very conscious. When they don't know, it can be very unconscious. It goes very fast. That's why we should give information and give information and give information so that people will take a decision and make choices.
Thank you
Conscious.
very much, ma'am, for this information. Now tell us more about HIV. What is that? What kind of virus is that? How do we
I,
get that? And
somebody
when we
asked
look
me,
at even the case of COVID today, and I'm seeing like people are having stigma towards COVID, I'm asking myself the question, what is HIV? Somebody who is out there and really don't have information, and we want to clarify them so that they put on the same glasses, the fair glasses. What would you say that is, and how do we get this? The
so
different forms.
if you ask me, I would say I don't know what HIV is because
Mhm,
nobody really knows. Because
mhm,
HIV is still a tested virus. There is no treatment yet. That means it's still on trial. But the results we have by now is called human immune virus,
mhm,
which goes in our body and attacks our immune system. The
mhm,
immune system is the bodyguard of our body, you know. It can be damaged by different things, not only HIV,
mhm,
but HIV is one of those viruses which attacks that system so that it will not protect you when you fall
mhm,
sick or when you have other sicknesses. Your body doesn't
mhm,
have the bodyguard. So, but HIV has been defined in different communities differently. Yeah, the religious leaders have added some part of judgment of the sin. Some cultures, the women have been judged for HIV because, like, the men feel they got it from the women, and the women got it from men. So I don't know. It's like the story of the chicken and the egg. I don't know who came first. And we are like in that circle looking for somebody who's responsible. Some people say, "Oh, it's come from Africa, the source of all issues." And no, it's from the laboratory. Somebody was trying to find a weapon, and you hear all this kind of stuff. But I think when you have HIV in your body, this what HIV is and what it does, and it stops becoming your issue. You go to the next step of how to live with HIV because many things change from
in
the
our in
time.
our in our in our conversation, you said there are people who are born with HIV, so it has nothing to do with sexually transmission, and it's not written on your forehead that, oh, I was born with it. So and I was not born with it. I got mine through being having an intercourse, and then got my own, and I got my own because I was born with it, and a father or whatever. So it is not written on nobody's forehead, right?
Yeah, the HIV which you get, sorry, from sex is attached to a different kind of stigma.
Mm-hmm,
The HIV you get from sex in marriage is also having a different kind of stigma.
mm-hmm,
The HIV you get with sex unmarried is having a different kind of stigma. The
mm-hmm,
HIV you're born with is having a different kind of stigma. So, but when you're born and your parents are HIV positive and you're HIV positive, yeah, you still
mm-hmm.
have to deal with the virus.
Yeah,
Yeah. But people will not treat you like the person who suddenly got married and found a sick husband. The human beings look for something to judge.
yeah,
Who is responsible for this? Now that I suddenly got coronavirus, and I thought this is easy, like, there's corona, everyone's a pandemic, and yeah, but I realize people are still not accepting to have COVID-19 and saying, if they have it, they're hiding the house because they are fearing discrimination. The families with COVID, and there's some people, they are still calling them the COVID family, even the people who got it 2020 until today. Some neighbors don't visit them. We have Arab people who got in April last year. Until today, the children don't play with anybody. They see them like they didn't wash their hands. They're dirty, or yeah, they have COVID. The family got COVID. How? And yet, COVID is here, you know? So COVID attacks also our immune system. We go back to the same point. What does COVID attack? Our immune system. It makes us weak. And these are virus stories which are going around the world. Somebody made a joke and said maybe COVID has eaten, there's another virus, the winter virus, because this year nobody talked about the winter virus. Like, COVID has eaten it, or COVID has now eaten HIV, because nobody's talking about HIV anymore. But the discrimination with HIV is still there. When you go to the hospital and you have HIV plus COVID, and another one has only COVID, you still see the difference. The HIV positive person is done the last on the list. So we're still in the topic of discrimination. Why do people discriminate sicknesses and look at them with ugly eyes and put on a glass of this, disgusting? How can I think it's a whole history of mankind. We had leprosy in the Bible. People who had leprosy were treated differently, or we had red eyes. Red eyes were associated to some kind of stigma. We had elephantiasis, where the people were taken away. We have old age. In some countries, when you're old, then you're disgusting. People don't associate with age. Human beings are like this, and society is now improving that, like they're creating a picture of beauty and nice. And people who are disgusting, who have disgusting sicknesses, and who are not able to stand clean. Spiritually, also, they looked at sex, like Jesus found this woman being stoned for committing adultery. I love the story because this woman had committed adultery alone. There was nobody being stoned with her. And you saw that the people were judging one person who has committed adultery alone. I was always wondering, where does the Bible put the man who was caught with this woman? It's okay, she committed this alone. And also HIV, sometimes you're HIV positive alone. You committed a sin and you got HIV. They don't look at the extra part of it. You were married, or you're a mother, or you're pregnant and you want to have a child. These all other normal things which everybody has are taken away from you. Or if you love somebody and you want to marry them and you say, oh, but I'm HIV positive, and then even if they really loved you, the love goes off. They can't love you anymore. They cannot marry you anymore because you are an HIV positive person. So it is something grounded in us, which we have to work on, to see it as a sickness, which is there, and then to treat the people as human beings. Because after HIV, you're still human. After COVID, you're still human. After all these discriminating sicknesses and skin colors and religions, we are still human. At the base, we are human, confronted by death, confronted by fears, different kinds of fears. And when we know this, that we're human beings, then we would really adjust our glasses too and look at each other as human.
I mean, you say looking at each other as human. My question is, how do we create such awareness so that people get to look at others as just human beings?
It's complicated, but it's something we can do, because I've been working with this sickness, and I every time somebody tries to show me that they would treat me differently, I take a step to know why they're treating me differently. I talk to them, I explain to them what HIV is and what it is not. And many of them are just okay with me after that. Yeah, the ones who want to judge me, they live my life. Even what we are doing now, Vera, we are trying to do exactly that. Yeah, how to tell people to live with people who are sick, or people who have HIV, or people, how to not discriminate anything in this world. That we see things positive eyes, and we see the beauty in it. Yeah, that we see the beauty in another color, or the beauty in another hairstyle, the beauty in a person who speaks a language you don't understand. It's a whole. It's not, people are not starting to discriminate only HIV. They are already discriminating many things, or they are looking at their health as a favor which they have worked for. Yeah, I am able. I have 2 legs and 2 hands. Why should you sit in a wheelchair? Hey, I'm a man. How can you be a woman? And these levels go in our areas in our mind. We save them and we start applying them. So when we get a chance of a sickness which we can really expose discrimination, then we say, now I have a reason. You are HIV positive. You are the one who's carrying a virus around, and we don't know what we do when we do that to people. We kill them. They walk in the body where they died. We create fear. We take away hope. We create a person who is alive, who can do something good. We make them lame. We lame their minds. We lame their capacity. We lame their beauty. They start seeing themselves, if they are not empowered, they say, I am only HIV positive and not more. Yeah. And
This must
imagine,
be very hard and difficult. I
yeah.
appreciate your courage. Tell me, ma'am, when was the time you said, hey, enough of this. I have to now speak out and talk about this, inform people and tell them we all, even if I am HIV positive, I have just more than that. I have a family, I have children, I have grandchildren. I was so fascinated when you told me about your adopted grandchild. I have grandchildren. I'm doing my job and I'm an influencer in the community. When was that moment you said, hey, now this is the time to act?
I think many occasions, but I think the most important part of my life was when I died. When I died, and people planned burial, and the transport to bring back the dead body, and people plan very fast. They want to arrange a burial when they think you're dying. And I was then thinking seriously about, in case I don't die, what do I want to do if I don't die? Yeah. Then your mind is ready to, when you think you're separating yourself from the body, mind, and soul structure, and you're dying. And the doctors who are treating you are counting the cells. I had 7 helper cells in my body, and I have so much virus, and I have tuberculosis, and my lungs are not working. And the doctors are thinking, yeah, what do we do? She has no papers. And, I was thinking, in case I don't die, I take some decisions. I want to change the life of my family. I want to help my grandmother. I want to do this. I want to do this. Then I had a list of things I wanted to do. Life was clear for me. The purpose was clear. Yeah. And then I knew I have to win this case. I have to get out of this helplessness and walk. And I did everything which the doctors told me to do, because I knew now if I get out of here, I have to really do the things I have. Life was important at a point to see, wow, I'm only 30 years old. I felt young at 30, because when we were growing up, when you're 25, you're an old woman. Oh, if you don't have a husband, you feel old. Yeah, at 30, I felt too young to die. And I had lost a son at the age of 28, and I thought, but these things are happening to me too fast. Then I started looking at people who are 60 years old, and they thought they have to live. I took decisions in the hospital to change life. But before I personally got HIV, I was helping people, encouraging people in the church. And sometimes people came to me HIV positive, and I was telling them the story of prayer and believing God and the faith. But when you get there, you don't use those theories. You can talk to people, you can counsel them, but when you have this virus, you don't apply all these ideas you had. Then you can't talk to yourself. You need a person. That's where discrimination becomes bad. Then you need the people when you're positive. You need them to accept you. You need them to walk with you. You need them to believe you, to give you the courage that it's going to be fine. And that's when they show you that they can't take you in this form, when you need them most. And that's what we should really do for each other in all our areas, in all areas of our lives. When we think the person is now in need, it doesn't matter what they have done to us. It's time to be there for them. Yeah.
Wow, this is such an inspiration moment. And usually I ask these questions to many people. If you were told you had just 2 days to live, what would you change? What would you do? And that's exactly what you have done. Actually, you were at the point where you say it's now between life and death. And now it became clear to you, if only I will have one chance again. This and this and this is what I'll do. My respect to you, ma'am. This
Thank
is
you.
bravery. Thank you. And this is exactly what Dr. Mayo says. Angelo Mayo would say that it takes only courage to be able to do any other virtues, and to stand to talk about this, even as a professional, but as well as an individual, takes a lot of courage. And for this, the more respect I have for you, because I think that it is telling people I am human and we all can make the mistake and we all can be sick, and you
Yeah.
can get it through your mother, you can get it through your husband, and you can get it through any other person.
Yes. Yes.
So, and I think that up to now I have personally really never taken time to reflect about the issues of people who have HIV, because I almost see it like any other diseases, right? But the day I spoke with a friend who said, oh, people go through a lot of stigma because of that. That was the moment I said, but why? And now you came in again with a nice story in the wisest book, most used. And again, in that story, we got only one person being accused. Now you also brought me again my curiosity to find out, but where was the man with whom this woman was committing actually this adultery? I mean, this is another question that pushes my curiosity to want to now start finding out again and asking more questions. And what does that mean in line with womanhood and malehood?
Yeah, that is a. I think the male and the female story is a whole day, a whole book, a whole lifetime. There are so many things we can learn from the stories of the men and the women in the Bible. Job suffered so much and he lost his children. And they don't say the pain of a mother who had lost the children. They talk about the pain of Job, you know. These children
Mm-hmm.
had a mother. There was a mother of Job's children right there feeling pain.
Yes.
And when they read a sentence about her, they say, and Job's wife told Job, curse God and die. They don't talk about, and she felt pain as a mother, and her children had died. They say Job lost the children, you know. The Bible stories are sometimes, when you look at the women today, we should know where our past is coming from. There's so many stories of Mary carrying Jesus and being pregnant and without a man. Nobody tells you how she looked in that village. If today you walk around pregnant and there's nobody responsible in my village, people will, hey, you know. But this story still is another male female discrimination. Maybe we can talk about it. And when it comes in the area of HIV, still it comes to the woman. Like, you should protect the family from sicknesses and diseases. They won't come in your family where a husband has 4 wives and ask how did we get this virus in the first place. They will look at these women who did not protect their husband enough to get the
What?
fifth one who got the virus. You know, you have 4 women, you are the one who gets the virus and infects one of them.
Mhm.
And when the sickness has covered 4, they judge the women, these 4 women who couldn't protect their husband from getting the virus. He was with them and they did not satisfy his desires and he still got
Okay.
another one.
I'm going to stop the conversation of male female this
Yeah, I
discussion
think
because
it's
it will
another
take
direction.
another line.
In the HIV world, we have a lot of reasons. We have the homosexual community. When they're HIV positive, we say, yeah, because for them, yeah, God had to punish them somehow, you know? Yeah, they're HIV positive living people. They have a virus. They are dealing with the virus. But we forget the human part of it, that they are human. Then we judge them for their sexuality. And
What makes this virus so difficult that people stigmatize it that much? That
the
because
sickness.
we have typhoid, we have tuberculosis, we have all these other very very difficult diseases. What makes now HIV so discriminating? Why?
Vera, that is my personal view. Yeah, this is not a philosophy. I
Mm,
think HIV is associated to sex.
uh-huh.
And sex is something which the world has refused to define. It's not beautiful. It has to be hidden. It has to be done in some ram. They have
Mm,
covered sex with a shame. So
mm-hmm.
if you have HIV, you had sex. But if you become pregnant, oh my God, when are you getting the baby? It's not like you had sex. Even if you're not married, you're pregnant, you have a baby, you bring the baby to the church, they make a special dedication, and they don't ask you for the husband. One time I gave my testimony, I was 40 years old, and I was just like, oh my God, I'm 10 years HIV positive and I'm 40, and the church didn't say amen. The church was quiet, like, shh,
Mhm.
something.
Like to say, oh, don't come and disgrace us.
Yeah, and
Like to
after
say,
that,
what is she saying?
how can you give this testimony in the church? How can you? I said, that is what God has done. That's how big my testimony is. You
That
want
you're
me to
still
say,
alive.
yeah, they wanted me to come and say, then I lost my keys and I found them. Or then I fell down and I didn't break my leg. I died 10 years ago and now I'm 40. And I was just celebrating that from deep down my heart. And the church, nobody said, amen. There's this loud amen. You think like, this is the real amen. Then I noticed we have a lot of work to do about the
Mhm,
topic.
mhm.
Because if the church where Jesus heals all sicknesses and all diseases, and by his stripes we are healed, and for the transgression that we have, and you say there is a bigger sickness Jesus can heal, they tell you, no, 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 Jesus should heal malaria, not HIV.
Now,
Yo,
what
that
is the message? I mean, this is so powerful, Lillian. This is powerful. You're open again the other dimension of my curiosity. Again, with the church or with religious institutions. Daniel, Idanese Daniel, thank you for joining the conversation. And he says you could get it through blood transfusion. That's poorly screened. So we can also get this the virus through blood transcription transfusion. Thank you for joining the conversation, sir. We also have Idrissa Ome, who said together against HIV/AIDS and together against discrimination. Thank you for shouting out loud. I'm so happy to see many men today joining the conversation. Thank you very much, ma'am. And Mary DeCaro is saying that men are discriminating for discrimination. Men are discriminating from long. True. We know that, and we are very conscious of that. And Ino Magiro say I was some. Thank you. Thank you so very much, Lillian, for taking your time for this very important conversation to create more awareness about the effect and discrimination and its effect on HIV positive people. Thank you very much. Ma'am, we're talking about the institution, the religious institution, and you have mentioned that over and over again that it is also very discriminating
the church.
in the church. So when I put the religious institution, I just put it openly so that I don't want to have any particular affiliation
Why
to
I
any
say
church.
church? Because
But you meant the church.
I try to talk about HIV in the mosque.
Okay.
And the imam told me, oh, we don't need the topic because all the people here in the mosque are married. We have everybody here married. I
Mhm.
said, wow, I wish marriage could be a protection for HIV because, we have HIV positive Muslim too. That's why I
Mhm.
said the church. Because when the church preaches about the wages of sin is death, yeah, and salvation, everlasting life, and there is a mentality that we pick from the wages of sin is death. We create a picture, sin and death.
Mhm.
The distance between sin and death is sickness.
Mhm.
So in the middle there, we start seeing which sickness is more sinful.
Mhm.
So the bigger the sin, the more the sickness, and then the uglier the death. We all want to die holy. And salvation is free, but Christians believe Jesus can save, can heal. But when you
Come,
have it, yeah, when
come.
you believe there's a sickness, which is connected to sexual sins, because sex is like the biggest sin ever. Our mother Eve committed sex, and the whole world thinks sex is that. When we start talking about sex,
Who
openly,
said that our mother Eve committed it?
when you are born, they baptize you because of the sin of Eve. Yeah, the sin of Eve. They prepare the apple and the whole picture which they predict in the hands of the people is the first sexual sin, and people feel that and they believe that and they walk with that. Sex equals sin, so that even people have to get married to cleanse, to have sex in the matrimonial home. So any sex outside the matrimonial home is sin. So if there's only sex in the matrimonial home, an HIV negative man with an HIV negative woman, then the picture goes they won't have HIV. But the people are born with HIV. People have blood transfusions, like Daniel just said. People have other sources of having HIV, or even having sicknesses which are worse than HIV. We should look at sickness as sickness without defining it and separating it and putting it in different, so that we can treat human beings as human, because there are so many things which are killing us today. HIV is not so bad, but the discrimination associated with HIV is terrible.
Mm-hmm.
When you're positive and the discrimination comes,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, there are some people, they are not having pain because they are black. But when the discrimination comes, the black colors, that's causing sickness.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because the discrimination creates something in them. They were okay when they were just black, but when they're black and discriminated, something else has happened in their mental health. When they're HIV positive, they need medication, they need their food, then you discriminate them. And this creates a perspective which they cannot deal with. And I always tell people, if you are not the one having the virus, please leave the people with the virus. Nobody's asking you for your ideas, for your attitude, or what you think.
Yeah.
Yeah, leave it. You don't have it, they have it. Let them be. If you can't do something positive, don't do anything.
How can the church now? Let's stay on the church, because I am observing that you are maybe a church girl, or you have been in that ministry and you know a lot about it. How can the church intervene in creating more awareness
We
concerning?
thank God that in Germany we have an organization called the AIDS Hilfe, and
Mhm.
we work with them to train pastors. We train pastors about HIV and miracle healing and taking medication, so that when they are preaching in the churches, they have information. Because the pastor is, when he says take medication, the people will take medication. Some pastors tell people we have prayed and people stop taking their medication, they really fall sick. So we train pastors in our team. We talk to them. We come to the churches on Sunday after service and we talk to people. Some of them, after they meet us, they go and make an HIV test, because they know they can now live. And some pastors at the beginning, there are some pastors harvesting them was very hard. They say, but people just go there, Sodom and Gomorrah, and do their things, and they get their sickness, and they come to us to pray. No, 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 da, da, da. I said, Pastor, slowly, let us try to understand things. Yeah,
Early.
yeah. Don't judge your sheep. You don't know them. You preach to them, and they
Yeah,
got saved from. You don't know their past.
exactly.
So if you want
And
to carry them,
from that moment that they got saved, you have to work with them without any bias,
exactly,
irrespective of their past, irrespective of the circumstances. You
exactly.
must be so aware that you, with the aware glasses of treating everyone with that fair glasses of Jesus Christ, especially
Exactly.
in the
You
church.
walked with them here from the time they met Jesus.
Yeah.
Before, they didn't have Jesus.
Yes.
But now that they are in your hands, you're the shepherd, you're directing them, you want to tell them that Jesus cannot heal HIV. And
Mhm.
some pastors are, yeah, and they come and they learn, and when they learn, they're good. They really good, do a good job. That is one of the best way we have managed to
Mhm.
work with HIV in the
Amazing.
churches. Yeah.
Amazing. Amazing. Ma'am, tell us more. What are the various support systems out there for people with such viruses, with this virus?
Well, in
More
Germany,
support systems in
the only
Germany.
one known organization, the Deutsche AIDS-Hilfe, the big one. And then there's in every city a local AIDS Hilfe. But my problem is that many people, migrants especially, cannot associate themselves with the AIDS of. We are African people, especially. We need a platform where I come and see Vera. I come and see Daniel. I come and see Tukumbo. I come and see people who I can associate with
Yeah.
and talk about this virus culturally. And that's what we are fighting for today, that migrant organizations can take over the job, yeah, of helping people in their own communities.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when I go to the HIV centers which we have here, there are some conflicts in my mind. There are so many parents, there are so many people, so many cultures who are not yet ripe to work with the structure of the AIDS health. We need a platform, a financed platform where we can be and talk about these things. When I know my sister comes from Cameroon, I know how in Cameroon how they are working with HIV. If somebody's come from Kenya, they will say, this is Ukimbi. Some people from Congo will say this is this. So they will easily know what it is. But when we come here, we meet and we got the AIDS health and they have a definition of HIV, very simple definition in a system where things are different, and that's why I think the AIDS health is not enough to help, especially African migrants living with HIV. The support is not enough for us to prevent discrimination and stigma, which is very hard. It's a taboo even to talk about sex in our communities. So, leave alone sex which has developed to the level of HIV. Yeah,
Even
and
though.
it doesn't really matter how people get HIV. That I keep telling people, stop even asking people how they got it. It doesn't matter. They have it. Yeah, they
They
have it
have.
now.
And
Yeah.
we have to deal with that. Thank you so very much. In your conversation, I'm just fascinated about your entire life and your story. If I heard you correctly, you came also like you were a refugee before, and you got the HIV virus, and then you got the COVID virus. And when I look at your job, you're working in all three areas to empower people. You're working also with the refugees, so you're giving them support systems. This is an amazing story. This is a success story that deserves an award. Thank you for the work you're doing. Tell us more about your work with the refugees and especially those also who are having HIV. Do they have any special support? Can this be a reason for humanitarian reasons for them maybe to also have a possibility to stay in this country?
Sadly, there is no law which says HIV positive people should get a status. Yeah, it is just like that. There is no law, but when there is, it's called Hatafal. When there's somebody who can explain why you have to get medication and stay here. That's where we come in. We have to organize ourselves and put a clear judgment and say, we African people living in Germany can say, there is nowhere in Africa where people can get HIV medication because the medication is in the main city. People don't have transport to go there. The stigmas and discrimination in the families are so big that the people cannot live with their families. The stigmas are so big that they cannot have a job. And we don't have a system where governments can give people food. So when somebody is here in Germany where there's a structure and is HIV positive, it is, I would say, they should give the people the right to live here and stay because there is no way they are going to survive after coming here. Number two, the medication is not the same. There is a test which they can afford to do here after 3 months, which is not affordable in many African countries. There is a political reason that all our embassies say we have therapy, but they don't explain how this therapy is being distributed, who is getting it, who is not getting it, how are the tests, how are the transport possibilities to get it, how also people develop resistances because they take and they stop and they take and they stop and they stay. For example, in Uganda, we produce our own medication. But we have a contract with some Americans that we can't use our own. So we sell ours in Tanzania and then we import some expensive one from America. It's a little bit another complication. People who are living in Germany have to get medication here because it doesn't make sense when somebody starts therapy here and then they send them back Yeah. So I wanted to also add that the lawyers in Germany have to also be educated about the situations in the countries, because the lawyers say in Cameroon there's therapy. They don't know. Yeah. They don't know how the people are living there. We are the networkers. We are the bridge. You and me are the bridge who should go and say, I'm coming from this country and these are the people, and that is what exactly is happening there. We have to be the ambassadors for the people who are here and living in asylum. So in Germany here, before when we came here, there was a land crisis. If you are in Köln, you can't go here. If you are here, you can't go there. And sometimes the facilities were in bigger cities. For example, when I was getting my baby, the facility which could save my baby was in Berlin. And I was in Halle in the East. I was not allowed to go to Berlin. So it was a lot of paper to allow me to go to see the doctor, for example. Or people who don't have papers have a paper which is not insurance card. They have to use it. They extend it after three months. And when you are sick, normally you think about healing, but when you are sick and you're thinking about papers and stay and this and deportation and how to go back and the family meeting, you cannot recover. A sick person needs an atmosphere to heal, to give the body a chance to heal. But people in asylum, they test HIV positive. The asylum camp itself becomes a problem. I remember when they would send letters, and on the letter there is AIDS sulfate. Everybody's scared. This person got a letter from the AIDS sulfate. It's a big drama. And people are living in these homes where 10 people are sharing a kitchen. Then they cannot eat with you. Then they cannot bathe with you. Then they are running away because there's an HIV positive person in the area. It is all about information. Yeah, taking time, going to asylum camps, talking to people, telling them what HIV is and what it is not. With our program of our faith and our health, we have successfully reached many churches, and the churches where we have been really changing day by day. Yeah, Sister Abeke also works with us in this area, this our faith and our health. We have to continue sponsoring such programs. Yeah, not putting them part-time payment. Sometimes there's money, sometimes there's transport. That is something which has to be financed permanently, because you can reach so many people through their faith. The other problem which we have with the HIV in asylum, it becomes a barrier between black people and the others. Yeah, they associate then every black person around this camp with a sickness. If one black person has HIV and it is known, then the black people in the camp have a virus. Even now with COVID, if one person has COVID, then these people with this color, with these eyes have a virus. And we go back to the stigma of wrong glasses, wrong information. If we can keep informing people or having the facility, and I thank you for this kind of a program that you really take time to call people and we try to give them the information that we have so that they can treat people differently. HIV is no longer a sickness which somebody should hear. An HIV positive person has come to hang the clothes outside and you run. It's not that.
Thank you very much, Lillian. Please, ma'am, tell me more a little. In those days when we heard about HIV, someone that is carrying the virus, we only had we. It was most of the time. I'm now talking about the church because I'm seeing your project, Faith and My Health, and I want to know more about it because some pastors believe in healing by miracle alone, and but we know that there's medication. What would you advise these leaders of the churches listening to you now, and you are living with it and your testimony, and it's a miracle that you are alive and that God has forgiven you and that you're not dead because you committed any kind of sin and then you will soon just die, that one can live long. I know my father-in-law who lived so long just passed and did not even pass away as a result of the HIV, but something else. Tell us more. How can I don't know how to put this? How can we advise the leaders of the churches to make use of the other systems of support that are there? Not only the praying. Don't get me wrong. I don't mean that praying is bad, but I mean that we can pray and still make use of the medication, because God created all the doctors who have the wisdom to bring out medicine. I don't know if you get where I'm trying to
Yeah,
go.
I'm trying to get you. I think Jesus didn't leave us without information. When Jesus was walking, he walked with cashiers, he walked with accountants, he walked with a doctor who was permanently sick and he was never healed. And Jesus told him, "The grace is abundant for you." So when pastors don't read their Bible, they mislead people. I really encourage pastors to read the Bible, and so that they don't use their words. If the Bible says no one is without sin, that means the pastor is also with sin. And I believe if God would say, "I'm going to kill everybody who has sin," then we're done. Then we are all gone. That means God is not using the measure of our holiness to work with human beings. He's using his grace. And when the pastors don't understand grace, then they have to read their Bible. If they cannot pour out the grace that Jesus has poured out for them freely, he gave them freely, they should give. If God forgave them and raised them and they are pastors, God will forgive also other people and rise them and forget their past. I think that one is the work of the pastors, and I'm not a pastor, but that is their work, to help people, to motivate them, to encourage them. And that's why we also have to choose a pastor according to how he's spiritually grown. There's a lot of excitement in pastoring these days. We want a cool pastor who talks and bounces and makes like, "Hey man," and we want this. Yeah, we don't want a pastor who preaches the truth and tells us the truth. So we end up with pastors who want healthy people, rich ones who have money, no problems. They come in the church. It's not a solution center. It is a prayer place. People come with their different problems to pour down, to cry to God. And they're not crying to the pastor. Sometimes I tell my pastor, "I came here that you pray for me, but I'm not crying to you. I'm crying to God." So if a miracle comes, it's the glory will go back to God. Yeah. But this is not the work of the pastors alone. The community where we live, people have to know that nobody's holy. And many people have sex. That's why everybody who's walking around today is born through sex. There's no one who has fallen from up. You see your parents, you know they had sex. If you see your children, then you had sex to have them. So sex is holy, sex is clean, sex is a gift God has given to us to enjoy. But all this, put a mark on it, put a stamp on it, make it illegal, make it illegal, make it, because people have failed to control. They want to control everything. They cannot control sex. They should leave God and the people to handle when you feel conscious, when you feel unconscious. You and your God, Vera, will know. Yeah? You and your God will know if your conscience is wrong. I've never been ashamed of having HIV, because I've never been ashamed of sex.
I have
That's
never been ashamed of sex. An amazing testimony. Idrissa Ome says affection, love, acceptance, and solidarity for people living with HIV/AIDS. Information and networking can help to avoid stigma and discrimination. Thank you very much, Lillian, for this great talk. Thank you, ma'am. Um, I'm looking at you with so much inspiration and so much passion, and I want to keep asking, when you're working, I didn't want this conversation to be like we are having a conversation with church people and church leaders, but I understand the point of view where you two are coming from, where we, of course, we know that most people, the church is also one of the biggest place where everybody goes there. If it's not a church, it's a mosque or whatever. So we have to use one as an example to work with and to deal with, right? And so today we are dealing with the church and AIDS and discrimination, and we are seeing that it is really really there's a lot of work to do there, right? And when you were talking about sin, and that the Bible says that we all have sinned, and even the pastor talking to you has sinned, then something just came up in my mind that there's a verse also that say, don't take the grace of God in vain. So we can't be sinning and saying that of course we all have sinned. And this is also what it's going to, I mean, that's what they also you're going to hear most often. So ma'am, do you think being or someone who has this virus was a conscious sin the person did, so that because they some people say you can't take the grace of God in vain, and so you go consciously to go and do some sin and some things, and then you say that the grace of God will still be available unto you, and then the wages of sin is dead. So if you do this all this, now that you have even carried that virus, then you should die.
Yeah, then I should be dead. If the grace is not there, then I should be dead. But the fact that I'm still standing here is
The proof of
because
God's grace.
because of God's grace. But I don't think I sinned. I had sex. I had sex. I didn't sin.
Hmm.
So even if I sinned, I'm forgiven.
Exactly.
Okay? I did not sin. I had sex. So
You did
if I
not
sinned,
sin.
I did not
Mhm.
sin. I had sex because
Yeah.
sex was created by God and my body is perfectly made. I didn't
Amen.
cut my body anywhere to fix a part which has sex. I was born the body was prepared for having sex. So I had sex and there I did not sin.
Hmm. Hmm.
So, but if I even sinned, I am
Hmm.
forgiven. But the
Amen.
consequence of having the virus in the body should be completely disconnected from sinning. You guys, sinning is a conscious way of doing something wrong knowingly. You
Hmm.
can define sin when you are sinning. Or you
Hmm.
can feel the temptation that you feel this temptation, God, you said there is always a way out. But I'm feeling I cannot even take the way out.
Hmm.
You and your God. There's some people out there, they don't even have God, they don't have church, they don't have HIV.
Hmm.
So there are some people who kill people and murder them and they live and they're 80 years old. You think
Hmm.
God is not seeing their sin? So we cannot talk about sin because God says in all his word, Quran, Torah, and Bible, only God can judge sin. I don't know
Hmm.
where human beings have got the right to start saying what is sin and what is not sin.
Hmm.
Because it is clearly written in all religions, only God has the right to talk about sin. So if I have sex and you define it like sin, what about if I got twins from this sex? Will I
There
be able
is
to
double.
have
There you
children?
have doubled.
Then you got double blessing from a sin. Come, understand how our God works. God bless me
Ah,
with
this
you,
God is good.
and you just come and say, "Oh, this is a sin." And God blesses twins. Really, for God, all things work for good. And people, please, if you're out there, you're having a virus, just carry your virus, put it somewhere, and walk, live your life. This virus
Hallelujah.
is not stopping you to do anything. Find the right people, find the right partner. They don't have to be HIV positive. You can live with an HIV negative partner who loves you, and you don't
Mhm.
have to infect them. Now we have you equals you. We take medication, and life
Mhm.
has to be enjoyed because nobody knows how long we're here.
Lillian, when you're talking, I keep so many images are in my head. We have defined, because people, when we talk about marriage, sin, sex, and all this, people always allocate it with some particular relationship. And when I look at back even at the relationship of Adam and Eve, I've never seen anywhere that they had a written document that they were legally married, right? But they were legally married. They were husbands and wife, right? And I have the impression that we have really turned to 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 put structures in a structure that makes life so complicated for people and very difficult. And if I see marriage as two people agree together for something, they come in terms and have an agreement. If our yes would be our yes and our no will be our no, then we will not be having all this conversation, right? The
Mhm.
challenge in this conversation nowadays is because people's yes are no longer yes and their no's are no longer no's. And that's why some things have to come in place. But I find it really difficult when this 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 um this these blockages are coming from places that were supposed to be healing places for the people. That's supposed to be a place of refuge, a place where people, no matter who you are, you will rush them. But unfortunately, today we see that if you come and you say, "Oh, I'm a carrier of the virus, so to say, of HIV," and you openly say that in the church, be sure that the next day, the next brother or sister may not even sit close to you. And this I find a taboo. This I find as actually a shameful thing. And it means that the church must have to revise again their structure to see if they really are doing what it's really called to be done, which is
Yeah.
love. And that takes us back to what ma'am.
Solidarity must come from there.
Exactly. And that takes us back to what Idrissa Ome is saying, that affection, love, and acceptance is what we all need. And if this we can't have, where we believe and claim is supposed to be that area, that place where that master of all these gave to us, then there's something that has gone wrong. Batimona Beke says pastor should be ambassadors, not condemners, preaching that anyone with HIV will go to hell is blindness. What do
Yes.
you think?
The preachers who we have today, yeah, we have too many preachers. People have a call, Vera. Many people have calls. But when you come and you're not walking in your call, you will condemn people. Because if you are called by God, the Spirit of God will be with you. You get wisdom, you'll get understanding. You will know exactly that you're going to comfort people. So for me, if I find a pastor he's a pastor, they said we shall see the fruits. Or I thank God we can all read these days. When I was a Catholic, we were not allowed to read the Bible because that would make us unbelievers. So I will see the fruit of my pastor. Then I will know he needs growth, he needs information. Then I will know. But if we don't read, that's our problem. We don't read our Bible. We want for the pastor to read for us, interpret for us. The pastor has his own Holy Spirit guidance, which is delivering his word to him. You and me can have that direction also, that connection also, that you read the word and God tells you what it means to you. You know, there are people saying you read the letter of Paul to the Corinthians. Okay, I'm not a Corinthian. This letter is not written to me. But I can read this letter of Paul and refer it to myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or the letters they were for the Galatians and for these people, but they were like us living, marrying, committing adultery and sinning and living their lives. So we can apply that. But our leaders, our church leaders have to be really educated about normal lives, normal standard, politics, everything which we are dealing with. Yeah. Jesus sat down with beggars and prostitutes, and Jesus showed how it's supposed to go. He did not discriminate. Tax collectors were those days looked at. I think
I
even
think it's
today, tax
because
collectors.
Jesus did not have a church. I think it's because he didn't have a church.
He
You
was the
see,
church. He
he
was
was
the
the church,
church.
and
Yeah.
so it became different. And that's why he could express that. And I think that now more the church today has come in a form of a structure, so
It's a
that
building. It's not the
it,
people.
exactly, so that it makes that people really don't. Oh yeah, yeah. People
Yeah.
don't
If
get
Christ
back
is
to
in
become
you,
the church.
if you say, Lord, come into my life, then that spirit of Jesus, that spirit, that powerful spirit which resurrected Lazarus, is in me as a pastor. I cannot judge anybody. But if that spirit is not inside me, then Jesus is not inside me. Then I'm doing my own talk things and read and try to prepare. But if
Hmm.
that spirit is in me, I will see through the eyes of Jesus.
Hmm.
I will look at people through Jesus' eyes, not through my eyes, because sometimes when I put on my eyes, I know what I see. But
Thank
when
you
there's
so
some,
very.
me personally, there are some people when I want to look at them, I have to put on the eyes of God because I can't see them with my eyes. I will
That's
judge
true.
them. I have to
That's
put on and say, how does Jesus look at this person? I want to, okay, Jesus, okay, for you, I
and
will
with
do.
love, with so much love,
Yeah,
and with a
because this
forgiving
is the
heart,
person who
with
is
caring.
terrorizing you, and Jesus is saying, "This is my child." I look at this, say, because some of your children, God, anyway, you can deal with them, but it's not my job. to know who is and who is not. We have to let each other live. This world is, we don't have time. We should live and let other people live their lives.
Thank you very much. This was a very good concluding statement. We should live and let other people live their lives. Thank you very much, Lillian. Do you have one more word to the people?
If I had just one word to say, I want to tell people that we have a body. We live inside this body. One day, all of us are going to leave this body and go. So, to be able to live here and do all discrimination stories, and we need our bodies. And the body needs four things. The body needs a balance, a social balance, a spiritual balance, a psychological balance, a financial balance. Take care of your body. That's what I can tell you, because when you carry a virus in this body, you start to know the virus is attacking not my soul. My soul is everlasting. Not my mind, it's just information. The virus, the coronavirus, the HIV is attacking my body. So take care of the body so that when the virus comes, when anything comes with attacking the immunity, it will find a very strong body which relaxes, which does sports, which drinks water, which doesn't keep hatred. A body which you wake up in the morning and say, wow, I love being in this body. No, I feel it. If you have sex, you say, wow, this is my body. But you want to have sex, the body is complaining, this is paining, this one is paining, this one is paining. And later you even get HIV from it. So let's try to take care of the body. When the body is away, I tell you, I came here weighing 45 kilos in Germany here. People thought I was 25 years old. I looked very young. One thing I tell you, take care of your body.
Mhm. Thank you very much, Lillian Petry, who says, take care of your body. And ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end of our conversation today. The message to take home is love one another. The message to take home is loving and embracing one another. The message to take home is that you should stop the discrimination. Please stop discriminating people for whatever reasons, whether it be in the church, outside the church, whatever the reasons may be, that you put on the glasses, that you are having your own eyes when looking at other people, but most especially if you are the church people, put on the glasses of Jesus Christ. I leave you with this and hope to see you on Sunday for another business conversation with a friend, Choku Emeka. Ma'am, thank you. And I loved your conversation. I admire your courage and I like what you're doing. God bless you.